Good afternoon and welcome to the Kerry Garden Show. I'm Alan Finn and I'm back here in Boyles of Killorglin for another show. And I'm in amongst some lovely grasses and displays here. And we're going to find out lots more about that and maybe answer one or two questions with Trish and Jer, our gardening experts. I just got to find them. Let's go. So here we are in Boyles of Killorglin and we are back with another garden show here with Trish and with Jer, to my left and to my right. I don't know which way am I looking, lads? How are you?
Good.
Good stuff. Well, what I'll actually do this week, because I know a few of you have been sending in questions and we do apologise that we haven't managed to get to them, but do please send them in because if anything, now's a great time to get questions answered, isn't it, guys?
It is indeed. We have the time.
We have the time, exactly.
Anyway.
A little bit, yeah. So, Jer, I'm going to start, or Trish, I'll start with you actually. We had someone text in asking about roses. Carpet roses.
Yeah.
I was losing it there for a second. And they were just asking a question about the carpet roses. What sort of issue do you think they might actually have?
Okay, I'd say what they were wondering what to feed them with this time of the year.
Yes, feed them, sorry, yeah, of course.
Now, I suppose the roses, because it was so hot for a while and then you had the wind and then the rain, they came on so well in flower in that very hot week that we had. Mm-hmm. And then you really did have to deadhead after it because the whole place was just brown after it then as well.
Yeah.
So if you deadheaded, you were fine, you were encouraging more on. Now, you wouldn't put the likes of rose fertiliser or good nitrogen or anything this time of the year. So you want to tidy them up first, take off all the deadheads. That'll encourage any new buds to come on.
Okay.
And they might even flower up to Christmas depending on the weather. What you could do then maybe in another couple of weeks' time, even if you had the horse manure, you can put that as a layer underneath it.
Okay.
And what that do then, it'll go down into the ground and it'll enrich the roots for the winter time.
Okay.
Now, if they do finish early, sometimes with all roses, regardless whether they're carpet roses or bush roses, you take about a half of it off, prune back about a half of it, so that they actually don't get rocked by the wind over the winter time.
Okay.
And then the final pruning then will be the end of February, March.
Right.
Now, like that as well, if you've got any black spot on the leaves of the roses, once they start dropping their leaves, make sure to rake up all of them leaves.
You always say that, and don't put them anywhere like a compost pile.
Oh, definitely not.
Just get rid of them altogether.
Because if you leave them in the ground, what will happen is that the spores will be in the ground, and next year you'll have the same problem again. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be
great.
it.
Great. And the second question we had then was from another lady who's wondering about her hydrangeas, Jer. They didn't flower for her this year. What do you think could be the reason there?
Yeah, so like there's different times of the year for pruning different plants. So if you prune the hydrangea back very hard in February, March, you won't get the same flowering this year. They can be, let's say, cut down to base.
Okay.
But that goes for a lot of plants as well. If they're in wet soil, they won't do either. They like moist soil, but if they're sitting in wet soil, saturated for the winter, wet feet, exactly.
Yeah.
They won't perform. The other thing then is morning sun.
Okay.
So we got a late frost in May.
Yeah.
If the sun was coming in from the east, if they were east facing, let's say, if the sun was coming in, it would have actually scorched the bud of the plant. Mm-hmm. You'd see a lot of hydrangeas that time of the year kind of going black. If there was any blackening to the leaf, that would in turn kind of burn the flower as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of different factors there that could contribute to it.
Yeah.
And that's my other point I was going to make then. There's a lot of people coming into the garden centre at the moment. They're wondering what to prune back this time of the year.
Because there's probably a lot of people just going out with the owl hedge trimmers
and they're just cutting everything.
Kind of going at something, but it's you have to be careful.
You do. And this time, a lot of people just go out and they do tidy up everything. So like just here in front of me now, we have the camellias. Rhododendrons would be the same. Azaleas would be the same. If you go out and prune them this time of the year, you're losing the bud for next year.
Oh no.
So you're going to have no flower come February, March, April into May. So camellias, rhodos, rule of thumb would be for the majority of the plants is to prune back the plant after it flowers.
Okay.
I know people like to just go out the once, twice a year and get it done with. But if you want nice flowering, nice plants,
and maintaining the structure, because I think that's what a lot of people might feel. It's kind of going this way and that way, going a bit wild.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If a camellia has to be cut this time of the year and it's gone too wild and too straggly, cut it back by all means. But in turn, you are losing your flowering for next year.
Right. So the buds are
just be careful.
there.
The buds are starting, especially we've rhododendrons down there now. the buds are that big inside
Okay,
now.
right.
So it's
And even
something
though
to
those
watch for.
buds won't be actually popping until the spring, but they're there.
Yeah,
and they'll stay
you are
on.
losing them.
Okay.
So it's just to be careful like that. And if anyone has any problems or they're wondering what to cut back any time of the year, just take the photo, bring it into us, and we'll go through it.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, so Trish, I've got some climbers, and they're that one's quite colourful.
It's beautiful. Again, now I know we did kind of autumn colouring trees and fruits and all that, but if you have an ugly wall and you want something that will just give you leaf colour, cover the wall quite quickly, you have this, which is a Virginia creeper. Now, this is absolutely fabulous. It's got really, really red. You can even see it's starting to go now. It's a coppery red.
Yeah.
And again, you have the Boston ivy then, which is very similar, but the leaf is smaller on that. But the Virginia creeper, it's kind of like the size of your hand.
Okay.
Both of these are self-clinging to the wall.
Right.
So there's no need to be putting up
maybe give
trellises.
them a little bit of a hand
at the start. All right.
Isn't it right?
So when you were planting them, what you'd be better off doing is plant it. Obviously, take it out of the pot.
Yeah.
Dig a nice big hole. Put in your soil. Put in your slow release fertilizer. And kind of lean them up against the wall.
Yeah.
So come out, say, about 6-7 inches from the base of the wall. What you can actually do then, the tentacles at the bottom or the branches, you can lean some of them onto the ground. They will actually catch root onto the soil.
Okay, all right, and that'll help them.
And then, as you say, just help them on a little bit. You can tack them on or whatever, and that'll just start them off. And after that, then they'll just take off themselves.
And that'll work over. Will that work over like a trellis or anything like
Over
that?
a trellis,
exactly.
yeah. Or if sometimes oil tanks, if you've like a trellis in front of it to camouflage it, that would be nice as well. Now with these, they do lose their leaves after they change colour.
Okay.
So they will be bare for the winter months,
Yeah.
but they are absolutely worth it for the spectacular colour they will give you, like in the autumn time.
Excellent.
So they're
Excellent.
fabulous.
Okay.
And I suppose another one then, again, as we were saying, there's always plenty of colour, Alan.
There is always, you never fail to surprise us.
This one hasn't even flowered yet.
Yeah.
So they will come out now in the next couple of weeks and it'll flower up until about the end of October, November. And it's a sedum is the name of it.
It's a beautiful red.
It's absolutely
kind of an orangey
fabulous.
red there,
an
isn't it?
orangey red, and it's like a
beautiful.
flat flower.
Yeah.
The butterflies and the bees absolutely love this.
Yeah.
So it's like it's extra bit of food for them.
I was going to say,
time
yeah,
of the
because
year.
this time of the year they're kind of getting a bit desperate for
So
stuff.
that is evergreen as well. Now you can see with the leaf, it's kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
So that will do in seaside
That's tough,
areas.
yeah.
But also as well, don't put it in too wet of an area. It likes to be in a well drained. So if your soil is heavy, add in a bit of grit into it, and that'll be perfect in it. Can be grown in pots as well if you wanted just something for a centerpiece in your pot where you can put your bedding then around it as well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And then also as well, we have the Rebecca. We might have covered this a couple of weeks
The
ago.
black-eyed Susie.
But everybody will be seeing that now in flower at the moment,
okay.
and they're wondering what is it, and that's it, the black-eyed Susie, and it's fantastic for flowering this time of the year. This is what's called a perennial, and when I say a perennial, then
It'll
it
keep
means
coming back.
it'll keep coming back, dies down in the winter, comes back up in the spring again.
Excellent.
And then lastly on this side then, I've got
A
the
fine orange.
Crosby is the name of it, or people would know them as Munbrisha, or what was the other one?
I've had people come into the garden centre calling it the Kerry flower.
The Kerry
But that's
flower,
people coming in outside of the county, they just see it everywhere.
And is there a reason why it would be so prevalent here in the county? Is
It is very prevalent in Kerry, especially West Kerry and South Kerry. It actually it originated in South Africa, so we must have a very similar climate to some part of South Africa.
I'm not so sure about that.
But yeah, no, it came in, but it just well suited to the Kerry area. It is a rapid spreader, so you need a big area for it.
You'd often see it growing on banks or ditches.
Yeah,
if you don't care if it, as Jer's saying, it is a spreader.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't spread as much as the wild one that you'd see in the ditches. These
Yes.
are all cultivated forms. We had a red one there a couple of weeks ago, and then this one is the orange one, and the variety of name of this is Emily Mackenzie. So it's just that there is still flowers out there for a little bit
absolutely,
of late flowering.
we can keep adding some flowering. And one other thing as well too that we might just give a bit of mention. I know you kind of have the old plant protectors here because it's there's a lot of fruit around here.
Yeah, a lot of apples,
a lot of apples and stuff we're getting.
A lot of pears. So it's like if you don't want the birds getting at them, it is important to just go out and put a net over them, just to protect those apples, because they will, like the blackbird, the crows, they will have them gone. So it's nice to look after them.
Yeah. And once they hit the ground, sure look.
Yeah, well, like if they're hitting the ground, that means they need to be harvested. So it's just go out and start picking them. But like a lot of people, they do come in wondering what is there to to keep the birds away, but that's the simplest answer.
The best option. Okay, great. Now here in front of me, Jer, we've got some grasses, haven't we? We've got some grasses. I really feel like I was going to hide inside them like David Attenborough, but I won't. Tell us a bit about these.
So like a lot of people, when they think of grasses, they think of the pampas grass. Big, tall, big flowers.
Is that the kind of one that's very sharp?
Yeah, it would have a sharp, you
yes,
get kind of a paper cut off the leaf off it.
Oh, I hate those.
And they grow massive as well.
Huge.
Everything that we have in here is quite small. You're only looking at about the metre high. So we have miscanthus here. That comes actually in a couple of different colours, flowers.
Okay.
So there's a red chief you can get. It comes up and kind of has a feathery flower that kind of tips out the top
flower.
of it. Yeah,
it's like you see
the
here,
plume?
it's kind of like a
Is it the
plume,
plume
or
we
it's like
call
a
it?
grass. But
Yeah,
Jer was
okay.
saying, like, you can get ones in the different colours. You can see that one now. It's
It's
just
got
kind
a
of
tinge of
exactly.
red there coming through.
But,
But
that's what you got.
These are well suited then to coastal areas.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing modern contemporary planting as well, they look really well. And again, it's to plant all these in kind of 3s, 5s, 7s, odd numbers, just to get the full effect out of them. But there's such an array of grasses out there now. They're absolutely stunning. Like if you look at
this one took my eye anyway straight away.
this it's a low growing one. It only grows to about a foot and a half. It has a nice little spread, and that's its colour all year round.
And that's called what, Jer?
This is blue intense.
Blue intense.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a fescue.
And that would be another one as well that you could definitely plant in kind of clumps.
Plant in groups, big groups. So let's say if you have a load of perennials like campanulas or asters or something, you could do a nice clump of this, so you have something that's going to carry you through the whole year. But again, that you could nearly say it's nearly at its full height.
Oh, right.
But you're going to get a nice spread out of it.
And it's great to have them in the garden, Trish,
Oh,
as you
it
said in the
is,
beds, because as Jer said, it continues a little bit of colour.
Exactly. I mean, if you
throughout.
had that blue now, and there's actually a golden one as well. It's Kerry's Evergold. It's a yellow with kind of a white stripe going through it, and that'll just shine out in the winter time as well. And as Jer was saying, if you've got any of the perennials that are dying down, at least there's something in the bed. You always have to remember that. You just can't put a bed full of perennials.
They will just kind of die as soon
and then
as
you've nothing for the winter. So if you just add in a bit of splash of colour
And
in
with the
it.
grasses too, you get that wavy kind of effect as well. And it's nice to look at it as well, especially if you're kind of got a sensory garden going. It's nice to have that kind of
the
wavy
movement,
movement.
the movement and
brilliant.
the
And
sound.
the last one then that we have there is beside you. That's called stipia. It's ponytail.
Oh, and that's got a real red leaf, or does it go to a red
Again, it'd
leaf?
be the end of it. It'd be the kind of
tops of
the
it.
tops of it
Yeah.
that would go the reddy colour. But again,
Okay.
there's a lovely feel to it. So again, in a sensory garden, just for the feel and then the movement as well.
Brilliant.
And again, it's a structural plant and not going to get very, very, very big. So kind of a moderate contemporary planting again, absolutely smashing it.
I suppose with grasses then as well, they like a well-drained soil, don't have them in too wet of an area.
Okay, excellent. Now, last week we've been talking about grasses here, and last week, of course, we were talking about upkeeping your grass. But another very, very popular option, Jer, these days is artificial grass, and you've got quite a selection of stuff here as well.
Like if you have a little play area at home for the kids, or if it's getting very popular in graves, just to keep them fresh and clean. But yeah, no, so it's like going into a carpet store, you're just trying to pick out
Yeah, I know, you were actually
the
showing
right
some
one.
of them. They actually feel like a carpet.
Yeah, so
some of them are really soft.
are quite hard, but that's because the pile is quite small in them.
Yeah.
So the likes of them, if you wanted to kind of touch up a grave, they're ideal. But if you have a little play area then, or if you have a little decking area that you just want to enhance, like this one here now, it's quite soft.
It is so soft.
You'd nearly sleep in it. It's that comfortable.
Yeah.
But we've 5 or 6 different types to choose from. They start at mid-range price up to the higher end.
And size-wise, then, Jer, how do they come? Like, how do you kind of measure things out or know what it's going to be?
So with these, if people could measure in the metre, so we sell it by the square metre, but they only come in two widths. So they come either 4 metres wide or 5 metres wide. But you can get them a metre long, 2 metres, anything up to 25 metres if you have a big area. So the easiest thing is to measure out your area. So if it's 2 by 2, it's 4 square metres you're looking for. If it's 4 by 4, it's 16 square metres, and that just makes it much quicker on our side just to get your quotation done.
Excellent.
And if you've a small area then that you just want to just to tidy up, we sell them in the rolls as well.
And that could go under a swing as well, as you said, with kids.
Clothesline or anything.
There's also people who just want an even low maintenance garden. I might just kind of want to put that out.
We have the 1 by 3 meter rolls just ready to go. All this has to be let's say if you're getting 4 meters by 8 meters, our supplier will cut it to the 8 meters and they deliver once a week to us.
Excellent. Brilliant. So listen, if anyone's thinking about getting some lovely grasses to add to their beds or looking at artificial grass, definitely come on in and talk to the guys here and bring in some photos and measurements. Listen guys, thanks very much. I'm nearly getting a crick in my neck from going left to right, but listen, it's been great. Thanks again for everybody for joining us here in Boyles of Clorglen. And for myself, Trish and Jer and everyone, we'll talk to you next week. Happy gardening.